The following is a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.
All right, Kurre and Klapow back at you. Before we get into our next topic, I want to say good morning to Al Cooper, one of our great clients. He's on my page more than I'm on my page. He's posted stuff about the T-Care. I want to thank Al for doing that. He's at Coosa Valley Auto Sale, CoosaValleyAutoSale.com. If you're up and down the Highway 280 corridor, it's just about a 15 or 20 minute drive. You will save. If I told you you could save $3,000 by driving an extra 15 minutes, would you do it?
Yes.
Now a lot of people are like, "Oh, I've heard these car ads." You're gonna say, "I'm just telling you. I've been doing car commercials my entire life. You know, I've been on every car flipping commercial in this town the last 35 years. If you want to get a great used car and save money, they can flip it quick for you. They even have a deal where if it breaks down or you have any issues with it after it, they'll fix it for free. Outside the parts, you buy the parts, they'll fix it for free. That's how much they stand behind their products. So check out Al Cooper if you're in the Chelsea area, the Hoover area, anywhere up and down the 280 corridor. Check out CoosaValleyAutoSale.com. They do wonderful work, so it's great. So I'm sitting there with my daughter the night, and she's sitting on my lap, we're watching TV. And she said, "You know what, Dad?" So what's that, Lila Jane? She goes, "I want to die a cool death." And I said, "Really?" She goes, "I want to die in a cool way." And she goes, "How do you want to die?" And I said, "Well, I want to die of old age." I said, "Because that means I'm up there." And she goes, yeah, natural cause is probably best." I said, "Well, if natural causes, it's because you're just petered out. You're probably in your 80s or 90s. That'd be good." She goes, "But if you couldn't die a natural death, how would you want to die?" I said, "I'd probably like to call everyone I know and tell them to be like at work play next Tuesday night at 8.
Okay, and this didn't even enter my consciousness.
And because my cynicism and my ego would come into play here, because if I knew I was going to die, and then I just get on stage and
die in front of them?
And die in front of them. No, I wouldn't tell them. I'd say something incredible is going to happen.
That's
next
terrible.
Tuesday night, 8 o'clock at work play.
That is
show up, or at a church. She also said, "Where would you want to die?" I said, "At my funeral," and she laughed. But if I had to pick a cool, interesting way to die, that would be
that
the
is
way
so selfish of you.
It is. But at least you wouldn't have missed it.
No, but that is so selfish of you, because you are going to put all those people who come.
Josh, when you're in hospice.
No. There's a difference. There is a big difference.
So if you know you're going to die,
I'm not talking about no. If you know you're going to die, and you call all your friends. And you say, "Come to work play." It's gonna be.
Would it be better if I told them I was gonna die?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Think about this.
Yeah, but how many people would show up there?
Right, because think about how
I want everyone to show up.
No, but think about how selfish that is. You're gonna go up there. Nobody knows what's gonna happen. Yeah. They love you, and all of a sudden you're gonna keel over. You're gonna have more people are gonna have PTSD.
It would be like the New Year's Eve. We'd have a countdown. 10,
That's
9, 8, 7.
That's terrible. The amount of psychological distress that you would cause all your friends and family members.
So I'd have to say, I'm dying.
Yes.
If you'd like to show up.
And listen.
But how many people would show up how many people would show up 5 minutes early? Like show up at 7:55 and just watch it and get lit up. Or how many people would get there early? Like if I knew you were going to die, I'd get there like a day ahead of time.
Right.
I would camp overnight outside.
Well, this is hospice.
How many of your good friends would get stuck in traffic or whatever?
I'm so sorry. I'm like,
you got 5 minutes to tell me how you feel about me, kind of thing. No. So we were talking about, would you want to be killed in some type of stunt? And I was like, this is too morbid for me. I don't want to talk about this. So then we started talking about, would you want to know when you're going to die and how you're going to die?
No.
And I said from a religious standpoint, no, because I think it's a sin. Every day on earth is a blessing.
Yeah.
And we need to treat it like that, because we don't know if it's going to happen later on this afternoon or tomorrow or 80 years from now.
No.
And I said, and then we started getting a tarot card. She goes, "Well, what about people that do predictions?" I said, we don't.
How old is she?
She's 10. I said, no. I said, we're of the belief that it's God's plan. God creates everything. He ends everything. He knows your plan. He knows exactly when you're going to go, and that is up to Him. And it's not up to us to try to. So what about horoscopes? I said, it's okay to read horoscopes and get off on the fact. She goes, "So if you see a fortune cookie that says you're going to be rich, you don't believe it?" I said, no, because
you don't stand a chance.
People will get a fortune cookie that says you're going to come into riches, and then you win $500 in the church raffle. I said, you can put those things together, I said, but you also don't know if that fortune cookie was something that was coming from God.
Yeah.
It could have been a Jesus thing.
Yeah.
Where maybe this, but I mean, for the most part, people reading the horoscopes are huge in this. We want to know what's going to happen. We want predictors.
Of course.
Because we want to know what's going to happen.
Yes.
And then, because it's like mind readers. There's no one that can read your mind, but if you give them enough information, they can kind of tell you what's going to happen in a general kind of way, and we think that's really cool. Because we want to know what's going to happen.
That's right.
But yeah, sometimes I'll think to myself, do you wish, like I've got some big stuff going on next week, and I'm thinking to myself,
Do you wish you were dead before?
No, but I do wish I wish it was already Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, so I wouldn't have to deal with it.
Do you think about this often?
When you have big, life-changing crap about ready to go?
No, you think about your death?
No, I don't think about my death. No, but I'm just saying that I think to myself, would you like to fast forward a year in advance to find out where you're at and what you're doing? And I'm like, no, because I think every single day. So then a friend of mine calls me up and tells me that he had this dream the other night. It's really weird because all this happened on the same day. He had this dream, that God came to him and said, I'm going to allow you to start your life over again.
Ooh.
But you got to tell me where you want to restart.
What age, you mean? What part?
What day, what moment in time, when do you want to restart your life? You can restart it from yesterday. You can restart it when you were 3. You can start it before your You can start it before your first marriage and then a divorce. You can start it before your kids. You can start it after your kids.
Wow.
And I was like, and then he's a God-fearing guy. He's like I think it was the devil that was in my brain. I think maybe this was something that was planned by the devil because because we all think it would be really good.
No, I don't think it was planned by the devil at all.
And then ultimately he said, I wouldn't change a thing. And I said, of course you wouldn't want to change a thing because because it could be a lot worse if you started over again. His whole idea, we were talking about women. And we were talking about women. It's funny how these things meander. We were talking about women, and we were talking about, man, I wish I knew then what I know now. And I said, it wouldn't be any different because the women are different now, too. You see like a 22-year-old that you would never approach. You
don't want to know now. You don't want to know then what you know now. It would mess everything up. I think about this. This is strange. Only on this show
it's only occurring
do I come up with this stuff and I say it. So when I was in 6th, 7th grade, you were a late bloomer, I was an early bloomer.
Yeah.
So when I was in 6th, 7th grade, we used to...
Blooming is...
Yeah. So we would have parties.
Yeah.
They were called makeout parties.
Yeah.
And it was such a bizarre thing because it was a friend group. Various people were... again, this is 6th or 7th grade. Various people were dating, like, people in the group. But it was like a soap opera. It would be like if you and I were dating 2 women, and then 6 months later, I was dating your girlfriend, and you were dating mine, and we didn't have a problem with that. It's just there was a lot of swapping going on, and nobody thought that's the first one. No one thought anything about that.
Yeah.
And then we put on 45s, and people would slow dance. Right? That was
How
the thing.
old were you when this happened? 15, 16?
No.
12?
12, 13. And people would slow dance.
Yeah.
And we'd be in someone's house. The parents were there. They were like somewhere else. And people would be slow dancing. And maybe, and then there was maybe some making out. And that's it. The only reason I'm saying this is if I think about it, it never dawned on me or really anybody else to do anything more than to dance and kiss.
Yeah. Really? Yeah, well...
It just did. That's what I'm saying. So imagine if you knew then, right. That's exactly what I'm saying. There was no...
Maybe at 16 you would have, but at 12...
Well, 16 there was different kind of parties.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and mom and dad weren't around. That is amazing, though. That is really interesting, though. Now, I've been to parties when I was 12 at churches or school or whatever, and we would slow dance.
Yep.
They come with a ruler, you have to make sure there's space in between.
We were Jewish. Yeah. No space for the Holy Ghost.
They don't do that in Baptist.
No, we were... No. This was slow dancing like... Slow dancing.
But to be slow dancing at someone's house with parents around, that's interesting.
What was LA?
Did you ever have, this friend of mine was talking about,
this is the greatest show ever.
I was like 12 years old, and my neighbor, Scott, was like 8. and we were friends, and we lived a couple of and his dad was the superintendent of our schools, and he had a babysitter that came over to the house one day, and she was obviously like 18, 19 or whatever, and she asked if we wanted to play Truth or Dare.
Oh, you
and I was like, yeah. I will never forget it. It was my Porky's, my American
That's
Bible.
exactly.
And I was like, sure. And so we were like, okay, Dare, eat a bug, eat some grass, run around the block, that kind of thing. And then after about the 17th time, she's like, do you want to see anything? And we were like, what?
Well, he was 8, first of all.
Yeah, she's like, I'll show these to you. And I'm like, and I was just
I was going to say, at that age, were you at least...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so...
But you never thought it would even be possible.
I found my brother's Playboys, in his underwear drawer, and I was like, sure.
Yeah.
And so we would go in the garage, and we'd close the garage door. Well, that garage door went up and down like 35 times.
Listen, those...
It's a great memory. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. I didn't touch anything about it.
It's those earliest memories of... and it's not so much... I don't think the early... obviously people... remember the first time they made love to somebody and all that kind of stuff. But I like to back it off more. Yeah. It's the first time that maybe you see somebody without their clothes on, or you see them topless, or they touch you in a place, and it's all touch you in an appropriate age. But it's those first ones where it's almost like you can't imagine. You never imagined this would be real. Like you imagined it, but you're like, I don't know. You were like. I remember thinking, oh, here I am. I'm in this moment right now. This is happening.
You can't believe it's happening.
That's exactly. And that's what I'm saying. And even the slow dancing.
Uh-huh.
I remember thinking, look at this. Now, here's the other thing I think is really interesting from a developmental standpoint. So we were all, 12, 13, maybe 14. And, at that age, everybody's maturing at different parts, different stages. But we were all friends, so everybody would go to this thing, but there definitely were some of us who were closer in our physiological development, and then there were the ones who really weren't there yet, but they were at the party, and so you could almost tell they were super uncomfortable because they were doing what we were doing, but what was meaningful to me was really creepy to somebody else because physiologically they just weren't there yet.
Yeah.
That's what's so fascinating about our development.
It really is. I remember I remember going to my room with my dad's binoculars. Our next door neighbor we used to lay out in the backyard. And then I remember the girl down the street when I was in high school doing cartwheels down the street. And
Did you ever fall in love or infatuation with? Again, you're a late bloomer, but I told you I fell in love with my babysitter.
Yeah.
Right, but this is when I was super.
I think everyone fell in love with their babysitter.
Yes, do you think so? But I was 8.
I fell in love with my next door neighbors.
8, 9. It wasn't in a sexual way. I just was so enamored. Mm-hmm. She was amazing, and it was clearly not there was no. It was 8.
Yeah, it didn't matter what she looked like.
And it wasn't sexual.
No.
But it was something fundamentally different. You knew you felt different about this person. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't stop thinking about her. Yep. And I remember thinking, even at a super young age, I was like, I think I'm in love. Yeah. I remember telling her, I think I'm in love with Kelly. That's her name. Her name was Kelly Tankersley. Do you know I told you? Do you know I told you this? Maybe 15 years ago, just because it came to my mind out of whim, 10 years ago, I tried to find her, just on social media, just to see.
Did you tell Julie?
Yeah, I was like, this is my babysitter, I fell in love with her, and I couldn't find her. Then I started thinking, I wonder if she's dead.
Do you ever wonder about, because I've tried to get on, since I'm divorced now, I've gotten on just for fun.
Yes.
Because everyone's 20 years older, so they never look anything. There was a girl that I dated when I was working at Kings Island Amusement Park. And she was the best looking thing I'd ever gone out with, and
you kind of don't want to look.
No, you don't, because they're never going to look as good.
Well, and you don't.
But
you think you do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the problem.
There's no doubt.
Because they're looking at you the same thing.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. Because there's several girls that I just wanted to see what they look like, and they're not on Facebook, and I always wonder, are they dead? Because if you're not on Facebook,
and at our age, it could be.
I mean, even people that hate Facebook are on Facebook.
Well, except software developers.
Because once you're on,
no, software developers are not on.
Yeah.
IT people never on social media.
Once you're on Facebook, you never get off. You're always on there somewhere.
It's just that your last post could be from like 6 years ago.
It is kind of exciting that when you pull up a name and there's like 15 of them, and you start going one by one, and you try to find out, and they don't put their bio, so you don't know what city they're from, and then you actually look at. There's one girl.
I know.
There's one girl.
Kelly Smith. Is that her?
There's a girl named Lindsay Davenport. That was like the best looking girl at Lakota High School. And I think her name was Lindsay. Her last name was Davenport. I think it was Lindsay Davenport. And I have tried to find, because I want to know what she looked like. She was about 5'2".
That's too common.
She was
of a
perky.
name.
She was on the Lassie. She was so cute and bubbly, and she reminded me of Katie Couric before Katie Couric had her eyebrows done. And I was like, she was so awesome. And I was like, I wonder what she looks like, because there's no way she could be ugly. It's impossible. I can't find her.
Yeah.
Lindsay, if you're out there on that 1984 page at Lakota High School, look me up. I'm single. All right, we're going to continue talking about some love and Valentine's Day. We're going to be in Fox 6 this morning with Janice Rogers and Mike Dubberly and probably the rest of the crew, because we're going to be talking about what's better, to be single or married on Valentine's Day.
I hope they bring everybody up, because they got a good mix of single and married there.
Yeah. So I asked my 10-year-old on the way into school today, would you rather be single or married on Valentine's Day? And I said, who's got it best? Her answer was amazing. I'll tell you what it is in our next segment here in 1 minute, right here on Kurre and Klapow on Tony Kurre Radio.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.